Jalen Brunson would literally have to pick up the phone and say, hey man, it's no issue with me. It's no issue with me.
He said that if they had lost, that was one of the teams LeBron wanted to join. In other words, the interest is still there. But if he joins a team that has already won a championship, he won't get the same level of credit for another title. Think about that. In all my years covering basketball, I've never seen an agent pull out a whiteboard and start circling all the teams where his client could realistically win a championship. That's honestly one of the wildest things I've seen. You're talking about LeBron James. His resume already speaks for itself after everything he's accomplished, yet somehow, Rich Paul is making this look worse, and I honestly think LeBron is part of the strategy. What Rich Paul is really doing feels like a bluff. He's creating the impression that these are the teams LeBron is willing to join, but it also comes across like a subtle sales pitch. It's almost as if he's using podcasts to explain why LeBron fits with each roster and what he could bring. Because let's be honest, how many teams do you really think have reached out to LeBron at this point? From where I stand, it comes down to one of two possibilities. Either LeBron is waiting to see where the biggest offseason moves happen before making a decision, especially now that there are reports linking him to Philadelphia alongside Jalen Brunson, or this simply confirms what many people already believe. He's still chasing championships. He's still looking for the strongest roster possible because that's where he believes his best chance to win is. And what all is doing is putting those possibilities out there for everyone to see. But here's the bigger point. It almost sounds like this is also a message aimed at Jalen Brunson, saying, if you want LeBron in New York, you're going to have to push your front office to make it happen. The part that stands out is the claim that LeBron wanted to join the Knicks only if they had fallen short. That way, if they returned the following year and won, he could wear the crown and say he was the missing piece that delivered a championship to New York, instead of giving full credit to the roster, the coaching staff, and everything the organization had already built. According to this view, he wanted to arrive as the savior rather than let Jalen Brunson receive that recognition. That's why some critics call him a narcissist. They believe players like this care just as much about the narrative as the result itself. But don't just take my word for it. Let's get into today's video. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe and let's get started.
The last thing you want to do is mess up something like that, right? The Knicks has a good thing going. You know, that'll be, if the Knicks hadn't have won, there would be no board.
He'd be going to the Knicks.
He'd be going to the Knicks.
Interesting.
But the fact that they won.
I always thought that eliminated them. But the more I think about it, Rich.
Well, it's a player thing, Max.
The Knicks can only afford vet minimums right now. They got rid of Mitchell Robinson because James Dolan, in spite of the fact that it took 53 years for them to win a championship, and the reports are his front office wanted them in the second apron for Mitchell Robinson, refused to go there, and he signs away with the Celtics. The Knicks have their hands tied by the second apron. They need cheap contracts. The rest of the conference got better. They have gotten a little worse. Knicks are weaker than they were. By the way, do they win that game if Mitchell Robinson doesn't get that offensive rebound, right? They don't have him anymore. They don't have his backup center anymore. They've lost stuff. I think it's a little different than it was.
LeBron's always judged different, though, Max. I understand what you're saying as a fan of the Knicks and as, you know, someone who has been around sports forever. But he's just always judged different, and that's a very fragile thing. And he's been a part of championship teams, and you've never been here's the thing. He's been a part of a championship team with people coming onto the team. When LeBron comes onto your team, I don't care if you just won a championship, I don't care if you've been the best player. It's different, man. His enterprise value and what he just carries is different.
And I respect the fact
Mike Brown knows this.
And I respect the fact that he wouldn't, when you guys wouldn't want to mess that up for the Knicks.
Jalen Brunson would literally have to pick up the phone and say, hey man, it's no issue with me. It's no issue with me.
balls in your.
And I'm not saying I'm not saying that would make
do
him
it,
make
but
his decision.
but at least it would put him on the table.
Yeah, because you got to respect that.
Have the
Jalen-
Knicks called?
Yeah.
Knicks checked in.
They checked in.
I've honestly never seen anything like this before. This is the kind of situation that makes the NBA feel more like the WWE. Everyone is fantasy booking super teams and debating the perfect landing spots for the player many people call the GOAT. I can't remember another case like this. Think about Jordan, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, Allen Iverson, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, or any other superstar. I never saw their agents making podcast appearances, creating storylines, criticizing players like Austin Reeves, or arguing that he should only be the fourth option or a sixth man on a championship team. What exactly are we watching here? Is this really how an agent is supposed to represent his client? Instead of handling business behind the scenes, it turns everything into a public spectacle. Then there's the idea of LeBron seriously considering the New York Knicks. That team has been right on the doorstep of the NBA Finals over the last few seasons. If they had come up short, the suggestion is LeBron would have considered joining Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and OG Anunoby. It's not a roster loaded with superstars, but it's a deep team filled with players who fit together, win games, and make legitimate playoff runs. So the question becomes, why would you want to step into a situation that's already built to compete? It raises another debate. Does LeBron ever want to go somewhere and build a contender from the ground up? Has he ever wanted to join a team without another established star? Or has the goal always been to play on one of the league's strongest rosters? And honestly, this conversation isn't just about LeBron anymore. It's also about Rich Paul. We're watching Rich Paul continue to put these ideas out in public, and I don't think he realizes how much attention it's bringing. It almost feels like he's sending a message to Jalen Brunson, hoping it reaches the Knicks front office. If you want LeBron James here, make the call. Comments like that don't seem accidental. They're usually calculated. Rich Paul didn't bring it up for no reason. He said that if the Knicks had lost, they would have been one of the teams LeBron wanted to join. That suggests the interest is still there, but joining after they've already won a championship wouldn't bring the same recognition. The argument is another ring would move LeBron closer to 5 titles, tying Kobe Bryant. And if Jalen Brunson pushes for it, maybe that's exactly the outcome they're hoping for. To me, this is one of the strangest approaches I've ever seen involving someone who's considered an NBA legend and one of the greatest players ever. I can't remember another superstar handling things this way. And honestly, I'm not even sure Knicks fans want LeBron James on their team. I know plenty of New York fans are probably watching this right now, so let me ask you directly, would you want LeBron James on the Knicks? Let me know what you think, and we'll leave it there.